Alright, so welcome to the second review of the evening. Up this time is Umurangi Generation. Umurangi Generation is a first-person photography game set in the quote-unquote shitty future. So, cyberpunk dystopia. Like, I will give them points for unique framing, though. Anyway, set in the Taruranga Ato Terrora, however you pronounce that, off the back of an impending crisis, you are a courier for the Taranga Express.
Wait, Aotearoa?
I guess.
If it is, that's the native and the word they're trying to get people to use for New Zealand.
Right, that would make sense because, despite the looks of this game, this is not from Japan. This is made by a Maori person from New Zealand. Like I said, and I'm guessing like Umurangi is a Maori word of some sort.
I don't know that one, but I assume so.
Yeah. Like, it's not exactly say. Yeah, here we go. Umurangi is the Te Rio word for red sky. I'm not sure if Te Rio is what the Maori call it.
Te Rio is the Maori language, yes.
Yeah, there we go. What have you been reading, Alex?
I don't know. Some people that are from New Zealand and also some language posts come across my desktop sometimes.
Like, came in handy. Like, anyway, so yeah, this is a first-person photography game. And like, it's a pure photography game. I know when people think of photography games, their mind will probably go to Pokemon Snap. But that's less about photography and more about taking pictures. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference? It gets into how elaborate this is. Just to give you an idea, there are an array of lenses here, and, they all affect the picture quality. And the art, let's say, in the picture. Lighting. The game was given to Petty for review, so over to him for the details.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I accidentally forgot to unmute. It's fine. This game to me feels like it wants to be like Jet Set Radio almost, but it's not as technically competent as like Jet Set Radio.
I mean, that makes sense. Even though there's a few decades in between these games, one does have to remember that Jet Set Radio was a AAA title of its time. Mm-hmm. We didn't call them those, but, in spite of the punk aesthetic and the whole rebellious air that Jet Set puts on, it was still a first-party Sega title.
Yeah.
So,
and it was also a very culturally relevant title, especially for the space it was in.
Right, but my point is, it's something that had the full development capabilities of Sega backing it. Mm-hmm. This here is an actual independent game.
Right.
So, of course, this game isn't going to have, near the amount of production values that Jet Set Radio did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, there are other problems I do know, like relating to the technical restrictions here. For example, angles and positioning aren't as taken into consideration as they perhaps should have been. Like, in terms of where you can take a picture, there's only 2 levels. Like, you can't get fully on the ground to take a picture. Mm-hmm. And that's apparently a thing that really affects the picture quality and all that business. According to people who actually do photography, not necessarily for a living, but who invested in the art of photography.
Right.
But this thing definitely takes into consideration a lot of things that people who snap pictures artistically would do, like color balancing, white
color balancing. You can mess with your tilt.
Mm-hmm.
Depth of field. Right now, I have 2 lenses: the telephoto and the regular.
And another giveaway is the fact that you're using a dedicated camera here,
right?
Instead of a cell phone,
right?
Because here's the thing: like, cell phone pictures aren't all that good for professional artistic pictures.
Yes.
But then again, they're not really designed for that.
Yeah, they're designed for a quick snapshot from your pocket. They're not like, you can get really good pictures on a phone nowadays, but yeah. And I am now clipping through the floor. This is like one of my problems with this game, where sometimes hitboxes don't exist.
Yeah, that is a problem.
And I fixed it. But yeah, and then there's like some tight spaces you just can't walk around.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Once again, these are things that seem to be coming down to the manpower behind the game.
Yeah.
At least that would be my summation. It's something that we'd have to ask the dev about.
Right.
To, get the proper amount of insight. But I think we can make an educated guess nonetheless. I mean, we've covered enough games to know, or at least surmise with some accuracy. Anyway.
But yeah, honestly, while the game is like thematically interesting, there's definitely a lot of technical issues.
Mm.
It's like, I really wanted to like this, but it's still one of those, the technical issues are too much.
Yeah. I'm like, we encounter that with a fair amount of regularity on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, due to various circumstances.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I wish this game could have had a little bit more not broken
Polish.
Yeah. And like, cause like, just like the general, like, The Kellers and stuff are cool. What you can do with some of the sliders are really neat. But you can only get so much with that before it starts, getting a little boring.
I think you have to be into this kind of stuff to get the full effect.
Right.
Because this seems to be a game by photography nerds for photography nerds.
Right. And as far as actual gameplay stuff that goes on, it's like a big game of I Spy. And the problem kind of with that is it doesn't really tell you what you're looking for. So if you don't, if they mention some mountains or whatever, that's cool if there's only one mountain in the, on the game map.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are two or more, how the hell am I supposed to know what mountain I'm supposed to be pointing at?
Trial and error, probably.
I mean, maybe. I think you only get 25 shots, which seems like a lot, but when you're not sure what they're asking for, the second level, they mentioned looking for a sarcastic property of the UN. How am I supposed to know what that is? Or Sharky. How am I supposed to know what that is?
Maybe the same way adventure game designers try to do that. Inference based off of logic that only they are privy to.
Yeah, or it might be a cultural thing that we're not getting living here in, America.
Right. I forget, did you get the expansion to this?
I do not believe so.
Because, there was an expansion released to the game here called Umurangi Generation Macro, which did add not just new levels, but new mechanics. First of all, it became even more like Jet Set Radio by adding spray paint. And
I do not believe I have Generation Macro, so yeah.
With spray pads, rollerblades to speed through deliveries.
Oh, wait, no, I have it. I just never got deep enough to activate that stuff then.
So it's not a DLC pack that's activated from the outset. Interesting.
No.
Yeah, and also this adds new photo features, like aperture, shutter speed, and ISO.
Yeah, you have as much control of the camera in this game as you would with probably a DSLR in the real world.
Yeah. And, and that gets back to my original point. You're taking art here. You're making art as opposed to, once again, going back to Pokemon Snap, or I think Sarge mentioned Africa on the PlayStation 3. Which is the premise that, you are a photographer in the wild taking pictures of animals, and you're less concerned about the photo applications and more about getting the best action shot.
Right.
Plus, the very least, I'm not sure the original Pokemon Snap could have done something like this given it the technology of the time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, like Sergeant just mentioned, there aren't many photography games in general.
Yeah. And Honestly, I think the biggest one outside of the ones we've mentioned here is Fear, um, Project Zero, Fatal Frame,
Yeah. Because, like,
which is once again a different bent.
yeah. Like, if they could iron out the bugs in this could be, a lot more fun. But that's kind of the whole issue with this. I don't see. Well, I see some appeal to this. I don't see enough of an appeal for like a large enough publisher to give these guys the funding they would need to fully make a, high quality version of this. You
Well,
know.
that does check because this game was co-published by Playism, which is a notable indie publisher, but they're not even like Exceed levels. I don't think. Like, also worth noting, we are looking at the pancake version, as they call them.
Pancake?
Because there's a VR version of this.
Oh, pancake isn't flat. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it makes sense in context of VR.
Yeah. This in VR, just like, I'm not really sure how well I would like that. Like, I know asterisks on that. I don't really like VR in general because motion sickness.
Right, but I think the more important question there is like, is that I think that's a standalone app.
Yeah, like, is it like room scale VR or stuff like that?
And
Because that would
once
really
again,
kind of hit,
that might be where the freedom might be found, because VR, just by its very nature, has is much freer.
Yeah.
Should they allow that?
Yeah, like, I could see if you had, like, a battery-powered Bluetooth headset, or not Bluetooth, VR headset, and it was, like, a room scale type situation, that could be kind of interesting. But if it doesn't support room scale or anything like that, and you just kind of have to sit there, it'd be kind of hard to recommend, if that makes sense.
I think it does.
Because, like, I know not everybody can drop $600-700 on a decent quality DSLR, and that's just using digital. Could you imagine, dealing with film in this day and age? So yeah, it's, if they gave me just like a free mode to like run around and didn't have the time pressure of the bounties, like after I completed a level, if I could just screw around in it and get, decent pictures for like extra rewards, that'd be cool. But, and I don't know if that's something that can be unlocked later. Like if I complete the game, if I just get like a free play mode, or if it's really just whenever you go to a level, you have to do the level objectives. But yeah, unfortunately, outside of the novelty of this, I can't really recommend it just because of, the collision issues. Sometimes it doesn't really get what I'm pointing at. I don't know if that's just like me pointing at the wrong thing, or the like whatever program is looking for something, I didn't get the flag it's looking for, in the right spot for it to see it type thing. I don't know how those markers are handled, and that's something we would need to talk to devs on. But yeah. What are we looking at price-wise?
Let's see. So the nominal price clocks in at $25. With the DLC running $5 for the soundtracks and $10 for macro. So that's $20 there. But this is one of those games that goes routinely on sale.
Yeah,
on Steam.
I isn't it like on sale right now?
It is it's going for $10.49. Bundled $10.33. Is it? So that being said, is it worth the price?
What did you say? Like almost $30 for the whole package? Just not
At full
on sale.
price,
What?
yeah. At full price, $35, I'd say.
This is a real niche you'd have to be looking into. Because I know once we start getting to niche stuff like this and like train simulators, more of a price is expected. But at the same time, the technical failings of this game makes it hard for me to recommend it $30. However, on sale for like what, 10, 15? Is what you said it's at right now?
Yeah.
That you could probably might be worth dipping your toes if you're really interested.
Like, this game doesn't strike me as something, even though I did pick it up for like $2. But that's like some sort of deep discount.
Right.
Like, the discount it's on right now seem like it's a discount I would expect for a game like this.
Probably, yeah.
All right then. So anything else to add on Umurangi Generation?
No, it's another one of those games that are interesting conceptually, but unfortunately held back by not enough polish. And this game came out in what, 2020?
Yep.
So the odds of it getting the polished update it needs are very, very slim.
Yeah, it's also this game has been released to all the major platforms in the years since. Once again, since it's an indie dev working on this, and they took it one platform at a time. With like the PlayStation version coming out just recently, apparently.
Yeah, I guess it depends with at least with PlayStation, because there is a gyroscope thing in the controller. If they utilize that, that could be interesting. But like just like trying to, dual stick this with analog sticks, I'm not sure how well, because you're on like a 10-minute time limit per level. So if you're just looking around, that can be cumbersome. But I didn't have a chance to try this with controller because I didn't know this was released on console.
Right.
So I didn't even bother to see if there was even any controller support in the PC version.
Anyway, so that'll about do it for the 23rd annual Independent Game Award Seamus McNally Grand Prize Award winner.
Sure, buddy.
I mean, that's what it's got on the Steam page.
Yep.
Anyway, So be sure to tune in after the break as the Galax reviews Gravity Badgers.